I got, at that point, started down the pathway of philanthropy with Lara by reading for the visually impaired.
Yeah, I think I said, if you want to spend time with me, then come on down and volunteer. That's how you get to spend time together.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, that's really wonderfully selfless, Eric.
Well, got to do what you got to do.
What an altruist.
True altruism, that's exactly right.
Welcome to Being the Change, the official podcast of James Madison University, brought to you by Madison Magazine. Each episode brings to you stories of how members of the JMU community combine intellect with action to live lives of purpose and meaning. That's Being the Change.
What's up, JMU? Andy Perrine here. Welcome to Being the Change. Today we've got two very illustrious alumni visiting campus who we're going to have a conversation with. Eric and Lara Major are here with us today. Eric and Lara, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Also with us is Nick Langridge, the VP of Advancement, and he's also an alumnus 3 times. He's a triple Duke at JMU, and he's going to participate in this conversation too. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, Andy.
It's great to have you. Nick, because you've got a long-standing relationship with the Majors and have really cultivated and shepherded a lot of their relationship with the university, I'd love for you to give an in-depth introduction to Eric and Lara.
Absolutely. That'll be my pleasure. So Eric and Lara are no strangers to the JMU campus, and we were debating how many times they've made the trip down 81 to visit campus, and I think it's too many to count.
I think so.
But they've both served in really powerful capacities. Lara has served on our Board of Visitors and as rector of the Board of Visitors, as well as on our Executive Advisory Council for the College of Education, of which she is a graduate and focused on early childhood. And as a class of 1992 alum, great to have you with us, Lara. And we've
Thanks,
got
Nick.
Eric Major here as well, class of 1991. And Eric was a political science major, went on to become entrepreneur, seems to be a serial entrepreneur as he can't get enough of it, but who started his own medical device company, surrounded himself with other JMU alums in the C-suite, and had a phenomenal success in serving those who needed titanium spinal implants. So we've been thrilled to have Eric come back and serve on the Gillum Center for Entrepreneurship board and as board chair, and on our College of Business Executive Advisory Council and Board of Advisors. So these are two people who invest their time. They certainly share their talent and invest in our students. And on top of that, they're fantastic philanthropists.
Thank you, Nick. We're
Thanks
really
for
excited
that,
to be
Nick.
here.
All right, so one of the wonderful things about the Majors' relationship to the university is that they met as undergraduates here, and that there's an interesting connection to philanthropy, or at least giving of oneself, that is connected to how they met and why they hit it off.
So, well, you have to understand that
Eric's blushing, listeners.
I met Lara and I wanted
Wait,
to.
where are we going with this?
I wanted to date Lara, and we were starting to talk and asked her what she was interested in, what she was doing. So it turns out that Lara used to volunteer at the radio station on campus, where X Labs is now, right?
Yep.
It's right on the lake. Yeah.
Yes.
And so she explained to me that she would go there and read from the newspaper for the visually impaired.
Right.
And I started to go down, and she made the introduction, and I got, at that point, started down the pathway of philanthropy with Lara by reading for the visually impaired.
Yeah, I think I said, if you want to spend time with me, then come on down and volunteer. That's how you get to spend time together.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, that's really wonderfully selfless, Eric.
Well, got to do what you got to do.
What an altruist.
True altruism, that's exactly right there.
But then I saw the lights.
Incentives for philanthropy.
Well, and they're still together today, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it all worked out, didn't it?
Well, and the Majors are on campus today because they spoke with academic and administrative leaders at a workshop about being major donors to the university. and provide some insight how to inspire others to support JMU. And Nick interviewed the majors in front of about 60 people earlier today, and it was a fabulous interaction. And we're going to include some of the excerpts from that talk this morning in our conversation. But to begin with, you both are about the proudest alumni I've ever met, and you have described it in lots of ways. And I think our listeners will really be thrilled to hear what Eric does constantly. He describes himself as insufferable in terms of promoting JMU. So let's listen real quick to something that Eric said this morning.
I'm insufferable. So I will tell you that I just had a call the other day on a big call, and one of my colleagues, and you all maybe take some pride in this, I work with a number of firms up in New York now, and a lot of the people around the table are Ivy League, right? And so in front of a lot of people, I was saying, Ted, I was introducing Ted. I said, Ted's a great leader, but he did make a bad decision recently by having his daughter go to Princeton instead of JMU. And so I lean in all the time that these kids should be coming to JMU, and people know that about me. And it's because I've had such a good experience, and because of the colleagues that I've met, many of you that I've gotten to know over the years, many of the people that I've met that are alum that I didn't know, that when I got re-engaged, extended my network.
Well, that's all really good fun by Eric.
So, well, it was a true story, and I do this often. I take a lot of pride, Lara and I both do, in being alum, and I wear my JMU with pride. I love to go through an airport. I can't tell you how often I'm going through not only U.S. airports, but global airports, and I'll see a JMU sweatshirt and yell, "Go Dukes." I'll be in a formal meeting and start jabbing everybody around the table on why their children aren't at James Madison. Just a lot of pride. It's both fun, but also because I truly believe that this is a very special place.
And you both spend so much time on campus. It's remarkable, Lara, especially with being rector. You were here all the time. But one of the things, and we're so grateful for it, but one of the things that you said this morning, Lara, was how fulfilled you feel getting to spend time with students. So even though we're grateful to you for coming to campus and supporting us so much, you get a lot out of being with students. Let's hear what you said this morning.
Eric and I have been truly blessed by the incredible experiences that the university has provided us. But the ones that always really resonate for me are the ones where I get a chance to interact with the students. I never have a moment where I spend time with them that I walk away asking myself why we give our time and service here, or why we give money. I can think of one which was getting a chance to attend the Valley Scholars, the inaugural graduating class of JMU at JMU. And I had the privilege of having lunch with them years and years before that when they were high school students. And so to see their growth and to see them get their diploma at the end of that journey, and to hear the speakers and what it meant to them to have the support of donors and having someone believe in them that they didn't necessarily know, that was probably for me a moment of, oh yeah, that's why we do this.
That is absolutely true. I know that is not a surprise coming from an educator, that
Right.
I like to spend time with students, but I feel like I have countless stories that have given me such an incredible feeling when I walk away. I've been able to watch students at graduation coming down to the stage, and they're literally crying. It's such an important date for them, and it's moved me to see that. I have had experiences getting to be a judge for things like Shark Tanks here. I've gotten to attend student teaching conferences. I mean, the list goes on and on. The university has given me so many experiences that I'm so grateful for. And it's one of those things where you can see why the university does what it does, and you have every intent to continue to be here and to support, both with your time and your service and your funds, because it's the why.
Well, and Laura's a very credible source for the statement of it's the why. She's known around the Commonwealth as a leader in education. And you said this morning, too, that you believe that education is a great equalizer. What does that mean to you as somebody who is well known in the Commonwealth in K through 12 and higher ed?
Yeah, thanks, Andy, for asking that, because that is absolutely, I think, what drives me, and I think Eric as well. We know that if you have an opportunity to learn and to be around other people who are also educated, it gives you a leg up. It allows you to have access and opportunities to things that otherwise wouldn't be available to you. And I think about a lot of the social challenges that we face in our society, and at the core, I think if we could help people be educated, we would go a long way to solving those. Again, I'm biased as an educator,
Of course.
but I believe that at the heart of a lot of problems, getting people knowledge is the most powerful thing we can do.
Well, it's why we wake up in the morning here, right, Nick?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not just spending time with students that turns you on in terms of why you love being involved on campus. It's also you get to meet a whole bunch of really interesting alumni. And you described earlier today when you first got involved with the EAC about something that really surprised you. Let's listen.
And I remember when I first got invited down early on, K2 was still early to be part of the EAC for the business school. And I remember walking in the first time, and I hope this comes across the right way, but I was like shocked by how many impressive alumni we had. And it's because I didn't know. It wasn't like I had a preconceived, I just came in. I remember going back and telling, wow, we have some pretty impressive alumni here at JMU when I went to the first meeting. And when I look back, if that engagement had never happened, I just wouldn't have known.
So, Eric, you were surprised.
I really was. When I think back to those first meetings, I just didn't have perspective on where we were as a university, and then started to get involved in what allowed me to really understand where the university was starting to engage with more organizations on campus and with these EACs and with these alum. And what was interesting was it took me outside of the area that I was specialized in. So at that point, my career had been in the med tech space,
Right.
working predominantly either trying to raise capital or grow a med tech company.
Right.
So orthopedics, neurosurgery, those types of areas. However, but getting involved here at the university and starting to engage with other alumni and starting to learn about other industries and other specialists and other success stories really has broadened my personal network in a way that's just so interesting, because you learn so much more about other specialties, other people, what's going on in their lives and what's going on in different business sectors. So it's just been that broadening of that network that's been so exciting.
Well, and also that kind of intersectionality is all about what you were hoping to achieve with the Major Innovation Lab. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric and I, as we said earlier today, we really have enjoyed finding the common threads between our two careers, and it has benefited both of us when we're in settings where we get a chance to speak with each other's colleagues. And we have walked away overjoyed with connections that we've been able to make between folks in the healthcare space to folks in the education world. And so seeing the power of that interdisciplinary approach and people bringing different perspectives, different backgrounds, different experiences in their careers, allows you to find the common points or things that you may have been missing that you didn't even know you were missing in the work that you were doing. That has been a very, very powerful thing in our lives, and we want to see others see the power of it too. And so that is absolutely, Andy. We were hopeful that the Major Innovation Hub would be a place for folks who might be studying political science to come together with people who are studying nursing and understand that, wait a minute, there is a lot of crossover here between policy
Right.
and the way healthcare is delivered. And that's just one example of all the ways that folks can come together to solve problems collectively.
Well, and you two are junkies for interaction too. I've been at events with you two, and you were describing that this morning when you were talking to the group. Let's give a quick listen.
One of our larger gifts was the result of thinking about our own professional lives. Eric and I actually find a lot of intersection between our careers, being in education and healthcare, and so I know this sounds really odd, but we enjoy going to each other's professional events. You're probably like, that's the last thing I want to do is go to my spouse or friend's professional event. But I think we like that because we love to talk to people and find the connections. There are a lot of crossovers between our two fields. And because we have so enjoyed making those connections in the interdisciplinary cross-section, we felt strongly about supporting something that brought many different fields, many different perspectives together on campus, which ultimately landed us with the Innovation Hub, where it was designed to bring lots of different majors from backgrounds together to think collectively on how to solve problems.
Well, people just loved hearing that, and they were a bit surprised that you went to each other's professional conferences. But I'd love to talk about your motivations for giving so much of yourselves to the institution. And Nick, you speak very thoughtfully about you did it today about the win-win that folks experience when they get deeply involved. If you could repeat some of that you said this morning.
Absolutely, Andy. It's been a privilege through both the Madison Century campaign, JMU's first comprehensive campaign, and most recently in Unleashed, our successful second comprehensive campaign, which donors gave over $250 million. I've had a privilege of having a front row seat to philanthropy in both those campaigns. And what I've noticed is that donors come in with an altruistic desire to make an impact on another person's life. And in the process, they find out that there's amazing intrinsic value and reward in giving. And there's actually joy in giving. And it's good for you. It's good for you emotionally. It's actually good for you biologically. And when I think about all the benefits of giving, it's really a win-win all around. But when I think about how we want every student to graduate with an ethical decision-making dimension, we want every student to be civically engaged. In those same ways, I want every student to experience the joy of philanthropy. The word philanthropy comes from two Greek words, philos and anthropo, and it means for love of humankind. And JMU students, naturally, we tend to attract a student with a high service ethos, and we tend to attract students that aren't just out for their own well-being, but care about others. And so it's not going to be a surprise to me at all that students will be drawn to philanthropy as alums. This is very natural for a JMU student. Mm-hmm. And they're going to experience such joy in the process. So I'm really excited to think about and imagine a goal for every one of our alums to experience the joy of being a philanthropist.
And you both described some joyful experiences earlier today. Laura, you talking about attending the Valley Scholars first graduation, and Eric, you teaching in X Labs. Those are some very joyous experiences that you've had that your connection with the university has brought you. How do you feel about that contributing to your sense of purpose?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier today that I feel like if you can have a positive impact on just even a single person,
right,
that is a way to pay it forward,
right?
And when I have the opportunity to engage with the faculty and with students, the reward that comes back is when there's real, true interest in providing some direction, maybe some perspective. Mm-hmm. And beyond X Labs, I've had the opportunity to speak across campus at different events and so forth. And for me, the energy, and what I always describe is when you come down to JMU and you get involved with the university again and you start going to events and you start to see the excitement of the student body here, the culture of our JMU student body, some of the things that Nick mentioned earlier. We say that the students hold doors, right? We've talked about that a lot at JMU, and I find that to be so true.
Right.
As I've had the opportunity to be able to hire JMU alum, they really do. They work in teams, they work in groups, they have a great work ethic.
Right.
All the things you're looking for. So clearly I'm biased, but it's because we are the best university in the country.
You are insufferable, aren't you?
Yes.
And I'm the guy that mixes the Kool-Aid. Right? You were going to say,
I
Lara?
can tell you it's true. I can be in my office and Eric's in his office in our house, and his voice is quite loud. And I can hear him all the time telling people that they need to go to JMU, their kids need to go to JMU. It's true. I think Today you hear a lot about that word gratitude, and so sometimes it makes it feel like maybe it's less than sincere when you try to use it yourself. But the fact is, it's just impossible to talk about the joy that we get out of philanthropy without acknowledging that it's a way to give thanks to a place that really helped us be who we are. The experience that Eric and I had as undergrads here was amazing. And those are feelings that you really want to see lived out in other people. It just seems incredibly selfish to keep that to yourself. So doing what you can to help a university be the best place it can be so that it is the best place for students to have a wonderful experience, or for faculty or for alums. It goes so far beyond just the students. But I think truly it's about reflecting on just how fortunate we were to be here and saying thank you.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you both, Eric and Lara. Thank you so much for being on Being the Change. And Nick, thank you for being with us today. Remember, all of you listeners out there, if you've got an idea for an episode, send us an email at beingthechange@jmu.edu. And until next time, Nick, Lara, and Eric, thank you so much.
Go Dukes.
Thank you. Go Dukes.
Go Dukes.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next time to hear another story of how members of the James Madison University community are being the change. Dive deeper and consume countless other stories at jmu.edu/Madison Magazine. Go Dukes!
The Being the Change podcast was conceived by Jim Heffernan, editor of Madison Magazine, and me, Andy Perrine, head of JMU Marketing. Thanks to Jenna Polk and her team at the Rose Library Studios, where the show is recorded by Cody Troyer, Steve Adderton, and Olive Santos, all of the crazy talented JMU photo video team, who then produced the final episodes at the Ice House in downtown Harrisonburg. Original music by 2019 alumnus Neil Perrine. You can find the Being the Change podcast on all the popular platforms where we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe.